people with a disorganized attachment style will generally fall in love with narcissists. They complement each other perfectly. It's like a match made in hell. Now, the things that we will focus on this video will be: what is a disorganized attachment style? Why do we have it? What type of partners do we attract in relationships, right? The fourth step is our personality traits and characteristics, and the fifth step, who is correlated with the fourth one, is how to heal those characteristics, so the symptoms of having a disorganized attachment style. Step number one, what is a disorganized attachment style? Well, mainly it is a mix between anxious and avoidant. The anxious part of you craves the attention, the love, the intimacy, and the avoidant part of you tends to run away from all of it because you don't know how to react. You feel like suffocated because this is literally what you didn't experience in your childhood, so you are not used to that. You tend to run away because it feels too much. You don't know how to react to all of those emotions. So mainly what happens with a disorganized attachment style is like there is a constant battle between two personalities in one person, the anxious and the avoidant, and they battle each other constantly. Now, when it comes to the disorganized attachment style, this can develop in four main types of homes. The first one is where one of your parents was inconsistent towards the love that they gave you. So one day they praised you for something that you had done. The other day they were maybe completely indifferent to what you did, or even punished you for something that they praised you yesterday. Another option is one or both of your parents were narcissistic. My case, my father was an overt narcissist and my mother was the vulnerable narcissist. Also, it can be an abusive parent. That is the third option. And I also had that. My father was a narcissist, overt, alcoholic, and physically abusive towards my mother, right? It like triggers me when I'm talking about this. And the fourth option is when one of your parents, or in most cases both of them, have a personality disorder, like for example borderline. When it comes to specific personality traits that I noticed in myself when I started the healing journey, because you really need to know yourself, okay? Some of the most common that I have noticed is that I was a people pleaser. I always put someone else's needs above my own, and especially when it came to personal relationships. I also had this constant need to prove myself and my worth, even though I never succeeded because it was never enough. Even though everyone praised me, I felt like they were lying, that they were untrue, that I still needed to prove something. Perfectionism, when it comes to my own person, I always needed to do everything perfect, and it still wasn't perfect enough. Anxiety, as you well know, I used to feel detached from my own emotions, like I didn't even know why I felt sad. Like it's almost like depression. You feel that sadness, but you don't even realize where it comes from. You just have that lack of motivation and you don't want to do anything. And that is perfectly normal because everyone has it. But for the people who have an disorganized attachment style, this is like a constant. It happens almost every day. Another thing was a low self-esteem and low self-worth, and that comes from the fact that you literally do not know who you are. So the concept of self is really lacking when it comes to a disorganized attachment style, and I will get deeper into that later on. And you do not know how to express your emotions in a healthy way. You tend to pull back and not react anymore because that is the avoidant part in you, right? So these are like the main characteristics that come with a disorganized attachment style. Maybe you have more and maybe you can share them with me, what you have experienced having this attachment style. Now, I always used to question myself, why do I attract only toxic relationships and generally with narcissists? Hear me out. It makes perfect sense to me right now, because the narcissist, right, gives the person with a disorganized attachment style exactly what they need. When they love bomb you, right, they activate the avoidant part inside of you, so you want to run away. When they pull back, they activate the anxious part of you. So they constantly push both buttons. Anxious avoidance, anxious avoidance. That is literally why we feel so attracted to narcissists. Now, when it comes to healing the disorganized attachment style, I will not lie, it will take a while. First of all, you have to recognize that you have this disorganized attachment style. And as soon as you do, you have to detach yourself from all the toxic people in your life. You have to get safe. And that means cut throat with everyone who is toxic in your life. I do not care. It's your parents. Of course, it's your parents also. Your partner, everything. You need to completely cut the ties in order to be able to start the healing process. If you keep staying in those toxic relationships, there is not much you will be able to do. The first thing that we need to work on is our traumas from our childhood. You have, first of all, to strengthen the concept of self. I will give you a for instance. My mother was the most controlling person I have ever met, and she was controlling towards me and my father also. She liked to have control over everything. And like when I was a child, I literally could not develop a sense of self because I didn't know what I liked and what I didn't, because my mother used to always tell me what I should be liking and how I should be doing things. So I did not know, I was not raised to experience life, to have different experiences, to go on trips, to know my likes and my dislikes. And I literally had no idea. This leads me to the next point. Because you do not know yourself and you didn't take the time to notice and know yourself and what you like, what you dislike, what you want, what you don't want, you do not have boundaries when it comes to relationships with other people. Because how can you have boundaries if you do not know what you do not want, what you don't accept from others? Now, I know this will be hard when you start to implement the boundaries. At first, it will be hard because you will feel guilty deep inside. But I want you to know you are deserving of this, and you do not have to feel guilty for the fact that you stand for yourself. It is the first time in your life that you started to stand for yourself, and you should be proud of that. Every time that guilty feeling when you say no to someone, or I just don't want to do that, without any explanation at all, because you do not have to give explanations to some people, I want you to be proud of yourself because you were able to do that. The next thing that we will be talking about is that constant need that we have to prove ourselves to others. Well, I learned, and I want you to be aware of that, nobody can tell you your worth. You are the only person who knows your worth, who knows what you went through, who knows what you have lived. Nobody can come now and tell me you are not deserving of that, or you should accept this bare minimum. No, that will never ever happen again. And I promise that to my inner child, because I accepted that behavior in my childhood. I accepted to be treated like that by my parents. I will never accept that again. The next thing on our healing journey is targeting our perfectionism and the need of control. Life is life, and it happens to everyone. First of all, you can't control anybody. You can just control yourself and the things you do. And sometimes you can't even control yourself. And that's perfectly fine and normal, because that's what life is supposed to be. It's life. It's not perfect. Okay? And when it comes to perfectionism, you are not perfect, and you are not meant to be perfect, because nobody in this world is. So stop that need for being constantly perfect, because you are not a child anymore, and you are an adult who takes care of himself, and you don't need to prove yourself to anyone. It's enough. It's enough. Now, when it comes to feeling detached from your own emotions and not knowing what you really feel, is the moment when I need you to take a break. Take a break. do a 5-minute meditation, I don't even care, and write all of it down. Like, I seriously have these journals, like these, I love them. They look so Arabic style, okay? And I write everything down just the way I feel it. There is no right to journal. No right way to journal. You just have to write it down, get it out of your head. And I sometimes start with something and have this like boom awareness. Like, it's insane just because I'm letting it all go out, and I just start by drawing or writing something stupid. And then I come to a point where I realize some traumas that I went through that I didn't even remember, and I can correlate those events with my now experiences and why I feel the way I feel in the present about some stuff. And it's like insane. Journaling is so important. I'm not even kidding. So every time you don't know how you feel or why you feel this unmotivated, like you just want to stay in all day and sleep all day, and that's perfectly fine. It can happen. You can allow yourself to have those moments. But when it tends to be too much, then do a meditation, start to think, and write it down. Write everything, everything. If I don't care how stupid it sounds, write everything down. A very important step in your healing journey is raising that self-esteem, raising it higher, 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 because it is low, 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 low. Okay. So I know it because I used to be that. And I know this might sound silly, but I literally had the time with myself. So what I did, I wrote in a journal things that I was grateful for to myself. So what I did for myself, I literally put myself through school. I literally have decided to study psychology on my own. I literally realized my traumas on my own because I had no one to teach me these things. No one. Nobody told me what psychology is. Nobody told me that you can have traumas. I mean, I raised myself. I matured myself alone. I had no help in doing so. So I am very proud of that. And I have overcome so many obstacles in my life and so many things that could have pulled me down, but they didn't. And that is why I am so grateful for all the bad experiences that I had, because they made me the person that I am today. And if I wouldn't have them, I do not know where I would have been today. I maybe would have still been that small child who would cry in his room and wasn't acknowledged by anyone. So I'm very thankful for the bad experiences because they taught me a lot. And you should also be grateful for those, for the bad experiences in your life and for the way you reacted. I don't care that, for example, for instance, okay, when I was through my adolescence period, I had like a rage when it came to my mother because she forced me to go to a high school that I didn't want to go to. I was more like into poetry and reading, and since I was a child, I was like more romantic and so on. And she literally made me go to a high school who was based on mathematics, physics, chemistry. I hated it. I hated every single moment of it. And the way that I knew to get myself, I mean, to get the revenge that I wanted was to start binge eating. So I practically took all that revenge and all that hatred, not towards my mother, because I thought I have to love my mother, so I have to do what she says. But I was so frustrated towards her that I punished myself for accepting to do what she told me to do. And I was a child, I still couldn't decide for myself, okay? So I started to binge it. And then I started to get into bulimia. And do you know how I got out? I got out myself because I acknowledged all of that. I worked on myself and I acknowledged why that had happened to me and why I made those decisions that I made back then. And I do not blame myself for making those decisions, even if they were bad, because that person, that small person, the 14-year-old me, I thank her every day that she didn't take her own life. And I thank the 7-year-old me that she didn't take her own life. And I thank the 20-year-old me that she didn't take her own life and still decided to fight for this life and not settle, still keep trying to find answers and evolve and heal. And I am so thankful for all my best versions. Now, the second thing that I want you to do when it comes to raising your self-esteem, and I know it sounds childish, but believe me, it works. I've experienced it. Talk to yourself in the mirror, but only positive. Only positive. Stop with the negative talking about yourself. I know it is forced at the beginning and you will most definitely won't believe any word of what you are saying, but believe me, the changes will start to appear and you will start to slowly, truly believe that about yourself. But it takes practice. It takes 21 days to make it a habit. And the last thing that I will point out here is this complex of a savior that we have. And at least I had it. The savior complex, I call it, like the need to save someone, the need to change someone. And that is another reason why we get into these toxic relationships. Like, for instance, I was always the savior of my mother in my childhood. I always had to save her because she put me in that position, like quite literally. So since I was a little child, she moved into my room and slept with me instead of sleeping with my father so she could avoid his aggressiveness because he wasn't aggressive towards me. So if I had come in between them, he would stop. And she knew that and used that to get away from him. So I was literally like a shield, a human shield for her, psychologically and physically, right? And I acknowledged that as an adult. This is when I realized that it is not my duty to save anyone. It is my duty to save only myself. I am the most important person in my life. I am the only person who will ever truly always be there for myself. And I have to stand up only for myself. I will most definitely not try to save or change anyone and harm myself in the process. I will never ever do that again. So this is it for this video. I really hoped it helped some of you. I really hoped you guys enjoyed it. I was not planning on doing this video. This is why I'm dressed like very casually, and I really didn't plan this out, but I had a revelation this morning and I said, now I have to do it when I am uncomfortable and not prepared, because this is the spontaneous way to do it, and I am still getting used to speaking in front of a camera, so I hope you guys understand. Thank you so much for watching. Share, subscribe, like, follow. More videos will be coming out from me. I appreciate you all and I hope you have a blessed day. Bye.